All right, everybody. Well, welcome to season 2, episode 5 of the Made in Dreams podcast. As you can tell, it is a full house today, and I guess I'll get to introductions. We got us here, Notre Dame. How you doing?
Hi, I'm good. How about yourself?
It's been a rough day, but you know what? We're about to have some dreams fun right now. Jamie James, as always. How you doing
Hello,
there?
everybody. No, I'm good. Yeah.
Indeed, and we have MC Alchemist representing,
Hey, what's up, everyone?
and Freaky Dreams, the music man. How goes it?
Hello. I'm very good. Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
Indeed. It's my pleasure for all to speak with all of you. And lastly, we have Ghost Fruit. How goes
Hey
it?
guys,
So, let me see here. The boys are back in town, says Reddish Boat, and thank you for that follow as well. But I guess we'll go ahead and just kick it off. So I was gonna say Notre Dame, and you bring up the first topic. What should we discuss today on the first ever Roundtable?
First ever roundtable. Well, I think it's fitting because of my MP nomination that we should talk about maybe improving as a dreamer. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess I'll start it off and just talk about the way that I improved over the past year. So for me personally, I improved just by watching others, and then when I would come into dreams, I would have a goal set, like what I was going to do, what I was going to practice, and have an intent rather than just go, aimlessly into it. Wood grain was a really good example of something I learned from a lot of different dreamers. I know Freaky had some on his stream yesterday. I wasn't able to catch that, but Captain Morgan has a technique that he uses an elongated cylinder that he thins out, and he uses a negative subtraction across, right?
Okay.
I've seen Jetta Plays use a completely different technique where he takes a cone, stretches it long and then thin, and then paints back and forth. I've seen Dirty Heralds use a wedge that he painted with the wedge pointed in and went back and forth with it. And then John Beach, the legend, he uses a hollowed, well, I'm sure he has other techniques too, but the one that I know that he used is the hollowed sphere cut in half, and then the smear tool, and then cuts a block out. So I've used all those different techniques and some together and kind of made them my own in some way. So it's to pick and choose from other people and pull from. I think I watched like 3,000 hours of dreams on Twitch last year, which is insane. Probably not healthy.
Wow. Oh my God. 3,000 hours.
Yeah. So I didn't even play dreams that much. I think a lot of it was probably lurking too. So it'll give me a little leeway there.
Well,
But that's the problem, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sorry. There's just so many dreamers now that, stream on Twitch. I feel like this year, especially, obviously, since Dreams officially came out this year, the Twitch side of things has really blown up, and it's just so nice to see so many people streaming while they're creating. They're not secretive about the way that they design their games. They just want everyone else to learn from their experience, and it's just a full pot of people learning off of one another and showing each other techniques. It's just really nice to see.
Yeah, it really helps me rationalize my dreams Twitch addiction. If I'm like, oh, I'm learning,
Yes.
I'm just learning things. Don't forget about it.
Yeah. See, I my thing is that I don't have the time, as much time as I would like, to really just spend all my time in dreams. Like I'm that guy that's kind of like in the basement with the wife and kids above, and I'm just like, maybe I can get a few minutes. Like that's basically how I work. And so for me, it's hard for me to do, as Notre Dame just pointed out, because that would be the way. I mean, that I feel, where it's like you just experiment with all these different techniques that you see. And for me, it's like all I have time to do really is just jump on and be like, I'm doing this one thing. Mm-hmm. And so for somebody who doesn't have the time to do that. Is there another way to come at the game, or is it just you're gonna hit a skill cap of what you can and can't do?
No, I don't. I think the more that you put time, practice makes perfect, like anything. I mean, I've pulled in techniques that I've watched from Bob Ross painting, so it doesn't have to be something that you learned in dreams. I think other art mediums, especially somebody like yourself, Mighty Vicious, with an art background, you can pull a lot of things from what you already know into dreams. It's a matter of just knowing how to translate that to that tool set, right? Because the dreams tools are very unique and different from anything that I've ever encountered.
Okay. Well, anybody else want to come in on this topic a little bit? Say how you got better?
Yeah. Well, one thing I was gonna, I feel like I've just started Dreams since I started in the summer, and I'm still learning basics. There's some tools that I still haven't even really mastered or even gotten to know well. But to Notor's point about just having Twitch on all the time, and it's like the fireplace, like, on your other monitor or whatever. That's how I work as well. I'm doing graphic design or other things, and I just sometimes it'll be on mute, sometimes it'll be on. For better or worse, I'm like mostly distracted or watching it. So I feel like I'm partially like ingesting information when I can. And then this other thing I've noticed is that I'm like thinking about dreams all the time when I'm not dreaming. And so sometimes I'll be just hanging out and, I'll be like hanging out with my girlfriend or something. She's like, "Why are you staring off into space?" And I was like, "Oh, I just came up with this thing I could do. I think I could try this."
So relatable, dude. That's so relatable.
I know that all too well. My wife and I are having constant discussions about my addiction with both the Dino project and dreams in general. She's like, tonight I was actually like, I was texting Will and a few other people on Discord about dream stuff about an hour ago. And my wife was like, "We have literally an hour together on a Friday night, and then you're gone doing dream stuff until like 11 p.m. Can you just leave the phone alone for just for 60 minutes? Because you are always talking about dreams or Dino. I don't hear anything else."
Yeah, I mean, but you have to remind her. I mean, just kind of like the new GPUs that no one can get their hands on. How many tensor cores does your wife have? No, I'm just. Let me stop. I'm sorry.
I would say that I want
think-
to
I
add
think-
to.
I think after that comment, things just got a lot tenser.
Whoa, that's so cheesy.
I do want to add to what I said earlier about improving it, and it's about keeping an open mind. And dreams is really easy for that because there's no set in stone way of how you should use dreams, right? You have a lot of traditions and other art mediums of how it should be done, and I think that restricts a lot of people in those mediums, where dreams, it's so new that the people that created dreams don't even know all the different things that you can do with it. And so it's constant innovation, and there's no right or wrong way to do things. And I think at the beginning of my dreams journey, I got jaded a bit, or I guess clouded by a way that I thought things should be. And in time, I realized that I just needed to let go and just let things happen and figure it out. One really good example of that is animation. I seen a piece of craft animating, which is a really good person to learn from if you're trying to animate.
Oh yeah.
And he was animating walk cycles frame by frame, doing it himself, not frame by frame, but with the keyframes, instead of using the procedural. And I think he's in chat, but Pixel Tuner had come to me and said, who's a very talented creator, you can do it this way and it's much easier. And I was like, no, I'm going to do my own walk animation because that's the way it's done right. And I was so stupid to say that or think that, but like it was just me thinking that there was a right way to do it when there is no right or wrong way. So don't limit yourself, I think.
Yeah. And I want to second Jamie on that. Like my wife also will sit there and she's like, her phone is the counterbalance to my like drifting off. Cause I do a lot of stuff conceptually in my brain for dreams in preparation of when I get those few tasty morsels of a minute that I get to jump on. And I'm like, I'm going to try all these things. Of course I fail at like 98% of them, but I try. And so I was just like, yeah, there are many times where she just stares at me and she gives me that look. And I'm just like, remember that you love me, and I still don't. I still don't know why. I still don't know why. But so I guess for the next topic, we go to Jamie. Like, well, let's keep this ball rolling. If no one else has anything to add to that last part.
The only thing that I would want to add to it in terms of kind of improving is that, and I don't mean this as a plug, I mean this quite genuinely, but you look at the challenges that are out there. You've got, creation challenges, music challenges, community jams. There's always something that you can get stuck into. And anything that has a hard limit on what you can do forces you to be considered in your approach. And it forces you to approach things in a certain way, whether that's a time limit, whether that's an assets limit. The 1% thermal challenge is a great example of that. You've only got 1% to play with. You've got to know what you're doing with it. So limiting the tools, it's that death by choice. You open up dreams, if you don't know what you're doing, you sit there kind of just staring at an imp for an hour and a half. Whereas if you know exactly what you're going on to create, you have those kind of moments of epiphany and you go, yes, I understand that. I can do that now. And, to kind of cover off what Notre Dame said earlier on, there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Yes.
This is very new software. We are all still learning together. And what I love is that nobody's hoarding that data. No one's got all of the secrets and isn't sharing it. And that's whether that's from the studio, whether that's from the incredible dreamers that are out there. And that's what I think is the most important thing about this.
Yeah, before we move on, I would like to piggyback off of that. Those 30-minute challenges that they do, I mean, you don't have time to think about or overthink what you're doing or second guess or undo and redo. You just have to keep going. And the same thing goes for community jams. I learned more from I've done 2, and I learned more from doing 2 community jams than any other amount of time I spent in dreams in those 2-week periods. The one I did Starving Squirrels with Captain Morgan, and it was just Hungry Hippos with squirrels, right? Simple 1-button project, but I had no idea how to do logic. And Cap had an idea of how to get it done. And I piggybacked off of his logic to learn from it, and we were able to troubleshoot problems together. Then we jumped to Trigger Treatment, and I worked with Falco Rich, who's like a logic master. Falco Rich is really, really good, and he keeps it really clean. So it was so easy to learn from him and his techniques. I think I learned more from those collaborations in those 4 weeks than the rest of my time in dreams, without a doubt. So try to get people to collaborate with you that are knowledgeable, and try to piggyback off of what they do.
Yeah, on that note, I definitely have to shout out Keld's 60-minute challenges. They've been like so fantastic to like learn like really quickly and like iterate on ideas and like find out what's fun in a super like fast way that's like nice and close. Like I don't have to spend too much time on anything. I definitely think it's important to note that like there's no one right way to like learn how to do something. Like we all learn differently and at different speeds. Like I liked Noter's point about intention setting, which is the opposite of what I do. What I do normal dreaming, I just like experiment with random shit and see what sticks to the wall. That's a lot of how I do my learning. Like still.
I agree with you on that, Alchemist, as well. Like, especially for someone that's quite new to dreams, it can be quite overwhelming because there's so many tools. This whole community, and there's sort of a threshold, if you will, now with quality of content because people's been on this platform since the beta. But I think also it's great to do the community jams and things like that. But with dreams being such an organic engine, if you can call it that, I think it's great just to dive straight in and play around with the tools because everything is so hands-on, especially like if you're using move controllers, especially like with sculpting. It's just so easy to just start to learn the movement of dreams and how things work because it's unlike anything else that I've seen in regards to how you physically create stuff. And I think you can learn a lot from just messing around with the engine because I'm no creator myself. I'm absolutely shit at making anything in dreams, but I can still find it easier to understand by just jumping straight in and messing with the tools, because they're so fun to play with anyway. Even if you're not going in with a plan in mind of what you want to create, just physically messing around with the sculpting tools is fun in itself.
Indeed. So, Jamie, take it from there.
So my topic was, Dreams is quite a closed off, very tightly knitted family, if you will. It's a really small, closed off community. If you're not really part of Dreams, you don't really understand what it is. That's the way that I perceive Dreams. And, for those of you that actually create games or any content for that matter to release onto the Dreamiverse, what inspires you to keep going with Dreams as opposed to any other software, because it is so closed off?
I'll jump in on that one if no one minds.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think for me, it's the same reason why I keep a notebook beside my bed. It's the same reason why there's a guitar in the corner of my room, and there always will be, because I am naturally a very creative type of person. I love creating. I always create, and I'm not doing it because I want to create for someone else. I'm doing it because I need to get it out my system, or I'll end up like not being able to sleep at night. So I'm terrible at the guitar, but I will pick it up and I will just play it just to get it out my system. I'm constantly writing short stories because I need to get it out my system. I need to get my brain farts onto a sheet of paper. I've got to do that. And Dreams is another mechanism for me to explore my creativity and thankfully to be able to share that creativity with other like-minded people. And I think I've said this before, and I'll say it again, and I will say it many more times to come, I'm sure. But one of the things I think is incredibly valuable about this particular community is that we are a close, tight-knit community. Think back to Dreamscom when all of those trailers were coming up on Dreamscom, and all of the comments in the side were, "Holy cow, this looks insane. Oh my God, I can't wait for that. Oh wow, how have you done that?" People were genuinely enthused. And you compare that to any of the E3 replacement streams that happened, and in the comments in the side, it was just a troll farm. I don't seem to have that within Dream, and I treasure that. And if it means it's a slightly smaller community, do you know what? I'm okay with that. So I'll take that. I think the only other thing I would say on it is that with nothing but respect and love, if someone is creating in Dreams with the only objective being to try and get their stuff seen by others, I would make a very strong case that they're doing Dreams for the wrong reason. Again, with nothing but respect and love, if your only objective is to get seen in Dreams, it's not a thing for you. It's not the right platform.
I'm not so sure I would say like wrong reason. Maybe like not a reason that's gonna last long. Like you're just like, if you can't persevere through that, then you're not gonna bother with Dreams.
Yeah, if you're looking for that hit of whatever, like acceptance and just whatever that feeling is when we get likes on our Instagram posts or whatever, if that's the only thing that's pushing you through, then yeah, you could run out of gas. But I could also see, I don't think it's a bad thing to have that drive to want to create something that is popular, though.
No,
I think
I would agree.
that. I'm not saying that's what your view is either, but I do think that there's a dosage of that's helpful.
Yeah,
100%. 100%. There's got to be an element of that. Of course, I want people to hit like when they see something that I create. Of course I do. It's why I share stuff to Twitter. I'll completely happily own that. But if nobody was to hit like on that, I would still be creating.
Right.
Because I enjoy both aspects of it. I'm not doing it only for one reason or the other. And I think that balance is important.
Yeah, and I think that comes out in your work too. Like it just seems like so much more genuine, and it's like you put your heart and soul into it, and that's what you want.
I mean, my question for this would be, or response to this would be, I definitely agree with Freaky, but I also have to think to myself, like, with all the talk of like exporting and stuff like that, with like huge pressure from the community to export, I don't know. Like, I feel like it's good to want it, but I guess you're saying that it's good to want it, but at the same time you can't hold it against the platform for it, kind of,
I
because
think it's good to want it, but I think it's unreasonable to expect it.
Yeah, I think
we're
for me,
entitled. You're not entitled to adulation, however good something might be, however good you think something might be. You are not entitled to that adulation. If it happens, great, fantastic, but it might not, and that's something you just have to accept. It's my opinion.
For me, there's no desire for the export. I think for me in my life, I've always been a creative person, and I was lacking that at this point in my life. And so Dreams gave me that creative output, to get what's in here out there. I started making games when I was in like the 6th grade, and I would through a platform called Dream Maker, which is ironic. And so the program's still out there, and it was to make like 2D MMOs basically.
Okay.
And so I was obsessed with that for like 3-4 years, and then I got to high school and started paying more attention to girls than games, and kind of forgot all about it. But I guess I still had that need and that void in my soul that needed filled. And as soon as I heard about Dreams, which was late, I wish I'd have known about it in the beta, but I found out right before release and got it on release day, and it's definitely been a game changer for me. My whole entire life has changed since I got Dreams. So,
I've sort of always wanted to make games, but never like I really don't want to learn how to code. So that's something that was like a huge barrier for me. And Dreams gave me that opportunity. So that very first time, you like actually make a game, and you're like, wow, this is a lot of fun to like design. And then what like really made it click is actually like going on Twitch and seeing someone like enjoy a game that I made while they don't even know I'm watching, and like that's like you really get a lot out of that. I think.
Now you see, I would argue that not wanting to learn to code but wanting to create games is probably the biggest stigma in the gaming industry as a whole. I mean, put Dreams aside, look at the amount of different companies that have tried to do something similar. You've got app builders with no code, website builders with no code, game engines with no code. Code seems to be the thing that stops the creativity in media altogether, but none of them managed to just hit the nail on the head. And, with Dreams, I think for me personally, they are the only ones to sort of break through that barrier of being able to genuinely create games without the need of any knowledge whatsoever.
And I mean, Dreams is deceptively teaching you how to code. It's really ingenious. Almost like at the very beginning of beta, I had no idea what was going on. I could barely use a counter and a timer. But now I can use basically every gadget, like an exclusive gate. What the hell is that? I actually used that in a dream once. I felt so proud.
But that's the thing, like, and gates, not gates, counters, all of that is Python code. That's all Python, which is an actual code that you use to develop engines and games and whatever else. So you are completely correct. Without you even realizing it, you are subconsciously learning how to code.
Yeah, it's like programming your brain to think in if-then statements.
Yeah,
I showed a friend who is in his late 50s, who went to school to be an electrical engineer when he went to college, that he learned 30 plus years ago. And I showed him Dreams, and he was like, "Oh, that's just simple." Yeah, he's like, "I did that in college," and I'm like, "What? You did Dreams?" Logic. And he's like, "Basically, gate logic." Yep.
Everybody knows gate logic, or at least can understand the concept of it. And what I think is incredible is the fact that you start off with these building blocks, and you can make it do some incredible things. You see what some of the real logic wizards can do with that. Acert's one who always comes to mind. Some of the systems that he has built and some of the ways that people have come up with of storing multiple values by using multiple decimal places or very long numbers. It's so impressive. And I think, that speaks volumes to it. And yet all of that is possible without having to write a single line of code. James, you hit the nail on the head. You're absolutely right.
I recently looked up and was researching quantum computers, and they use the same gate logic in a quantum computer as that we're using in Dreams. So keep that in mind.
Awesome.
But that's the thing, you know, all code, no matter which, you know, no matter which one you use, whether it's C#, Note++, Python, Ruby, whatever type of code you're using, it's all based off of the same principles. And Dreams is no different. Dreams is based off of the principles of standard code. There is no difference apart from the different types of things that you can code within those different coding languages. The basics of that coding language is always the same, and Dreams is no different.
Yeah, it's amazing how much the visual element and how the UI looks, and like down to the rounded corners of gadgets, like it has this friendly approach to where, you know, an artist like me, like all you guys, I mean, I know some of us are more logic side, some of us are more art side, where it feels like, oh, you know, like Alchemist was saying, this feels approachable, you know, instead of just looking at like a wall of text and brackets. And that's the thing that scares me. And I go, I'll never learn it, you know? And to jump on what you were saying, James, about how the visual scripting thing, it hasn't really taken off yet, and Dreams is sort of the first to do it. But it does seem like that there's a huge amount of interest there, because there's the third-party plugins for Unreal and Unity that are, I think there's probably a ton of people learning game design that way. And onto the website thing, I think most website creation is probably coming through Squarespace and Wix and all of the build your own templates now. So it's like, yeah, that there's a huge need, and I think it's being filled. And I can only imagine that it will expand and more people will want to learn in this visual way. And I think that's a good thing for Dreams.
Let me jump on the back of that just briefly, specifically to you, Dylan, because you're an incredible musician. And one of the things I think is equally valid is the way in which the audio systems are also visual. Your LFOs, you can see your LFOs. Everything is a visual feedback loop. And you look at, you know, for me, I've opened Pro Tools, and I might as well have been looking at something that was, you know, ancient Aramaic. I have no idea what I'm doing. But because I understand the core fundamentals and principles of Dreams, I've then now gotten into music much more than I ever did before. And I think that's the power that the Dreams UI has. It's really, really cleverly done.
It's hard for me to jump in here because y'all are talking. No, not because y'all are talking, but it's because we're touching on so many things that I intend to ask. And I'm just like, should I just interject it here? No, I'm gonna let them talk. I want them to talk.
Just let it happen organically.
Okay. I mean, then well, no, we'll at least get around once before I start cutting people off, because that's just rude. Okay, so MC Alchemist, take us into the next step. What's a topic? Be spicy, be not spicy, don't matter.
Yeah, it's sort of a good segue from the last question James asked, specifically because it's like MP season, and like some people may be disappointed and get nominated. So I think it's a good question to ask. Like, how would you like answer that question? Like, how do you if you feel your dream is like not appreciated, if you feel your work isn't appreciated, how do you, like, what's the proper way to deal with that? Like, is there an actual answer to that question?
I think Freaky touched on it. I think where it's just kind of like, you know, if you're trying, like, if that's what you need to be able to create, then there are other places as well as other ways to get your work out there. And for instance, just speaking personally, like, I just got into Twitter. I don't have a lot of following on Twitter, and I you know, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that, like, basically there are other venues, whether it be Instagram or something else, that I use to get out most of my stuff about shows. And so, like, if you really need that to get yourself like motivated to keep going, and you feel like no one's appreciating you, then I mean, it's just you got to go search for it. It's the same as with anything else. Like I tell anybody, especially with streaming, if you get into streaming not because you enjoy it, but because you want an audience, you're automatically setting yourself to fail. Because those first few years, most likely, unless somebody gave you a leg up, it's going to be you doing what you're doing without talking to anybody, without like having anyone in chat to bounce your ideas off of or be friends with. And so it kind of goes back to, like I said, what Freaky was talking about last time, where if you need that, you absolutely need that, then you got to put in the legwork to make sure you get it from wherever you get it from. It's even if not in Dreams itself or from the community.
I can like agree to that to some extent. And I do want to say that like I've published 2 games, right? And they were both jams. And both of them were featured on an MM stream. So I was like extremely lucky, right? But I also know that there's tons of other creations out there that were much better than things that I put out that didn't get that kind of recognition. Part of why I believe that I got that recognition is because I'm streaming frequently in the Dreams category. Not lately, but up until 2021, I was streaming pretty regularly. So I think that advertising yourself is a big part, like you said. Another thing is just like Freaky had said, do what you love, and I see MC Alchemist doing a lot of that. Do what you love, do what you're passionate about, and if you get the recognition, great. If you don't, well, at least you did something that you wanted to do for you. And then when the next time comes around, maybe things will grow from there.
And also go ahead.
Add my 2 cents into that if I can. The other part of it is that if you're creating something, like if I was not in Dreams, I'm talking about in the big wide world, if I was doing a piece of music that I intended people to see, or if I was doing an indie game, or if I was writing a book, or if I was starting up a business, I would have to advertise. I wouldn't just start and then complain that I didn't have any customers. That would be insane. And everyone would tell me I was insane to expect that. So you've got Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Facebook. There's all these avenues where you can do 2 things. You can share your progress and say, look at this, I'm really proud of this, and people will start to engage. And secondarily to that, more importantly, you will get feedback. And if you get feedback and you take that feedback on or not, you have the opportunity to make improvements. And as people see those improvements, they will go, oh, that's really cool. Oh, I see what they've done with that. I can't wait to see the next update that they do. And so you start to generate this buzz around what you're doing. And I think that that's one of the things that, you see. I think there's a balance. It can be overdone, certainly. But, you've got to put out there that you're doing something. And when it's out, you've got to share that it's out there. You can't release it into a dusty corner and then go, but nobody saw it. Shine a light on it. And we, as, dare I say it, people within the Dreams community who people seem to value kind of input from, it is our duty as well to share what we see that we think looks interesting. We have just as much a duty, and everybody, if you see something and you think, God, that looks amazing, share it and say as much. Get that shared out there. That's how you generate interest.
And it never goes away because it's the internet. So you may not get what you want immediately, but it can come back around and surprise you how somebody will be like, oh, this is awesome. And it's like, I did that 4 years ago. Like what?
Dogecoin. Like Dogecoin.
Yeah, there you go.
So don't lose hope.
I think I would add to it that also because of the type of industry that Dreams is, whether that be the gaming industry, the music industry, film industry, whatever type of medium you're trying to break through on, you need to set your expectations to low. And the reason I say that is because regardless of which medium you're trying to outreach to, you are reaching an overcrowded, overdrenched market, regardless which one it is. And that's the same outside of Dreams. If you're making music on, Logic Pro and you upload into SoundCloud, set your expectations to low. You are a nobody and you need to accept that. There is too many people doing the same thing. And to think that you're going to get thousands of views and hundreds of followers from your content just because you think it's great is irrelevant, because the market is so huge. If you get 100 likes on something, be proud that 100 people have found a nobody, basically, and like the content that you created. You have no clout, you have no recognition. You have to build that from the ground up and be accepted with what you get.
On top of
Can I just say real quick that there's nothing like hearing a British man tell you you're nothing? Like that hit me, like that hit me so hard.
You, sir, you, sir, are nothing.
Yes, I was like, oh, my soul. What is?
Yeah. Your opinions are meaningless, sir.
Oh my! I think on top of that too, I knew that coming into Dreams, I came in a little late to the game. Nobody knew who I was. I started streaming. I didn't really know how to play Dreams when I started streaming. So like people would come into my stream, watch for a little bit, and be like, "What? Who's this guy? What does he know?" And when I did collaborate, or when I did do a project, I knew I didn't have all the skills I needed to get it done. Right. So then when I collaborated with people like Captain Morgan and Yade, who already had followings, or people like Falco Rich, Mikey CSLT, Typhus, these people were already well known. So that got my name out there off of the back of their name to some extent. You know, not that it was my intent, but it was an unintended side effect for sure.
Yeah. Another thing I want to add onto the prompt of what do you do in that moment where you feel like you've done something and you're not getting that recognition, and it's an emotional response, right? And you're feeling like I've done this great thing and it hurts. One thing that I think is helpful is your frame of mind and how you're viewing yourself as a creator or as like a business or whatever, a brand, really affects like how you feel. So if you compare yourself to how you might react within that emotional period of, hey guys, can you just like this, or can you just follow, or like I'm almost to 100 followers, like guys, would you do this, or this like asking instead of providing a service that people just naturally want. Like imagine what you're feeling in that moment. Imagine if McDonald's did that. Like, guys, like we're almost to like 1,000 customers today. Please come on, and like we just really need you to get this burger. Like it would mean so much to us.
You get a few sympathy burgers.
But like, people are gonna be like, "What is going on? This is weird. I'm not going in there."
It sounds to me like you've had a few of visitors to your stream that are like the people, the follow people, or the
this is like it's a phenomenon that we can. I think it touches that feeling of like, you know, I don't want to say desperation, but that feeling of being like emotionally involved and taking on the brand as your own identity. And it's really easy to get hurt and have those feelings when something doesn't go the way you wanted, and take it personal when it's all you. And instead, if you like just for a second, imagine yourself as McDonald's or a business, and you say, hey, this product didn't go as well as we thought it would. So why don't we look at how other dreamers are selling their games, and how are they, you know, sharing? Is it like this really cool clip that they put on where it feels good? Is like, how does the thumbnail look? How does the UI look? And if you go into more of like an analytical space, instead of just like feeling, you know, you like detach yourself from the brand for a second, I think it's helpful to be able to make some of those corrections and take some of that advice that you get.
I will say, I was playing Dreams VR one day, and I just stumbled upon this wonderful game. It was called Dreams Night, and I had never heard of it. I had never seen any kind of advertisement for it. But then I'm like, oh, MC Alchemist made this. I know him, but I'd never had any kind of prior knowledge of it. So I think advertising is a big thing.
I would say one very important thing to understand as well is that social media as a whole has created this poisonous environment that likes equals worth. And it's very easy to fall into that trap, regardless of which social platform you're on, including Dreams.
Yeah.
And, you know, you really need to train yourself to not think that way. And it's just become such a normal thing now these days that likes and follows and comments equals is your worth, when that is not the case. If you get 10 likes on something, that's popular for those 10 people, no different than a game that's got 5,000 likes. It's still popular to the people that's played it, otherwise they wouldn't have gave you a like for it. And I think it's just down to understanding the difference between people liking content and assuming that with the worthiness of the content that you've created. If you think it's worthy enough and it's great, that should be enough for you. You shouldn't need the likes to justify that.
Another really good example is a game called Viper Strike by Shadeseeker.
Yes.
And Viper Strike is an awesome game. And I mean, it's really well made. It's got comedy. It's just got that nostalgic feel. There's a lot of depth there. And it didn't really get recognized right away. And he put his heart and soul into this game. And it wasn't that it wasn't great. It was just not enough people were aware of it right away off the bat. So I think it's just a matter of, if you want that recognition, if you want that adulation, I guess, then you have to put it out there. You can't just sit back and be like, "Oh, I made this. Let's wait for something to happen."
Yeah, or like Entropy Tame said, just throw Shrek in there.
That's right.
Nice one. Nice one.
There is another side to this that I think is somewhat unique to us as a collective playing Dreams and enjoying Dreams. And I think that's it's the whole creative ownership. So I have an idea and I think it's the best idea ever. And even if it's complete dumpster fire, I think in my head, this is going to be amazing. And I put hours and hours of work into what is something that is, by any scale, terrible. But I think it's amazing. And so because I've put so much of myself into this thing, I'm invested in it. And you can tell me it's a dumpster fire till the cows come home. I don't care, because part of me is in this thing that I have created. And then I release this baby out into the world and I think this is going to blow people's minds, and they don't get it and it hits a wall, and you feel like that is a reflection of you as an individual. And I think that is a risk that as creative types who enjoy Dreams, we are perhaps more prone to than other gamers who aren't of the same mentality that we are. And I think that's really important to bear in mind when we're talking about, think of it from a business point of view. It's true, Dylan, you're absolutely right. When you think of it in a clinical sense, that's true. But extracting that and splitting head versus heart, when you've put your heart into a creation, is incredibly hard to do.
Yeah, it's not a simple ask. I think I had to have plenty of experiences where, you create an album and it's like about your life, and you have songs about the people who did XYZ to you. And then you think it's going to be this huge thing and you're so moved by it. And then you release it and it's just like crickets. And you have to kind of get your heart broken in that way, I think, multiple times to learn this lesson. So yeah, you're absolutely right. It's really easy for me to come on and say, just separate yourself, go, but it's a huge ask. But we're raising the flag right now and to say it's, you kind of have to go through some heartbreak, I think, as a creator, if you guys would agree, to get to that point where you can easily be more analytical and detach yourself from the work a little bit.
Yeah, sort of answer my own question. If someone told me that they're like, "Oh, I'm feeling underappreciated," I would say, number one, your feelings are valid. It's okay to feel that way. I feel like a lot of people will say you shouldn't feel that way, which is something you should never say to someone.
Yep.
So yeah, that's the first thing I'd say. Second is treat it as a learning experience. Everything you're doing in Dreams is learning. That goes back to our first question. You got better objectively, creating anything in Dreams, and that's something good. And if you got your heart broken, that means you made something you're proud of, and that's also something special that you can take away.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah.
So I guess we're on to Freaky.
Hello. I'm going to talk about feelings now. Sorry. I'm going to talk about feelings. Here we are. Here we go. Brace yourselves. 2020. Wow. What a year, eh? So most of us spent 2020 in isolation. It was a hellish year, whether people lost jobs, were on furlough, were working from home, whatever the scenario. I think it's fair to say everyone had a challenging year. And not being able to see friends and not being able to see family in some cases, and being miles and miles away from everybody, living in a tiny box room, for example, all of these sorts of things piled on us. And I think for me, Dreams was a saving grace. More specifically, the Dreams community was a saving grace. Being able to have this group of people to talk to stream and engage with and feel like you were still connected was huge for me. And I think thanks are needed to everybody who's been involved in all of the various events and streams and jams and everything that goes into Dreams and to Media Molecule themselves, because I would have been lost in 2020 without Dreams and without you guys.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I mean, I was stuck at home and which is why I probably have so many hours on Twitch, but I was stuck at home and, I had that need for that creative output. Dreams gave me that. I was busy all the time with Dreams. So I wasn't like, oh, I'm stuck in the house, I need to find something to do. I made tons of friends that I'm going to probably, if Dreams exploded today and it was gone forever, and I mean like just gone, that there's people that I would talk to for the next probably 20, 30 years of my life, and it's pretty awesome to have that from this platform. I think it's an unintended consequence of Dreams that's a really great one.
Yeah, I'm kind of segueing away in my mind from this question, but you've really made me consider whether or not would Dreams' popularity be different if it wasn't for COVID now?
Better or worse?
I think it would be just as it is. I don't think it would change either way, because I mean, well, I guess you'd say it might be worse, actually. Now that I think about it,
that's what I'm thinking. Just because of the sheer amount of time people had to invest into Dreams because of them being home, that surely would have an impact, surely, would it not?
Oh, I think there'd be a lot less content for sure.
Yeah.
I think we would still have just as much content. I think people, when you get an idea in your head, you can't help yourself. You've got to see it through. What I would say, on the other hand, is that I don't think we would have quite such a strong community, because we've been forced to interact with the community more so than we would have done had we not been in lockdown, had we been, down in the pub getting drunk every Friday night or whatever the case may be. If we'd been doing that instead of watching streams and encouraging people and helping someone work out why the hell that thing wasn't hitting the ground when it should and it was going right through the floor. If we'd not been doing all of that sort of thing, I don't know that the community would be in the same place that it is today. I think that's one of the very, very few positive things to come out of last year, is the strength of the incredible community.
I'm playing through so many scenarios. I'm not sure how to I'm not sure how to answer, because I agree. Like, that I guess that did force certain people, but it's hard for me to think that way because, like, my life hasn't changed. Like, I know people are like, we're quarantined. Well, I was quarantined before there was a quarantine, because it's just the way I like to be. Like, I do work, and then I would get home at night and I'm just like done. And that still hasn't changed. But I don't know. I do feel like there's probably validity to that. There probably is a closer community because of it. But I don't know if that community would be bigger. It's just because so many people just don't know what Dreams is. And I don't think that's because of people not loving it. I think it's just people don't know that it exists.
I mean, it's crazy that you say your life hasn't changed, because mine is like completely 360. I mean, I was out 2-3 nights a week drinking and hanging out with friends and running around town, and just, I was always everywhere doing a million different things. My job required me to travel across the country a lot, so I was all over the place and I was never home. I mean, now I'm a homebody and I just sit here and play Dreams, and I love it. I'm happy about it. I have no regrets, and I'm so grateful to have not only made friends through dreams, but to have this platform, like I said, for my creativity. I don't think I'd be lost without it. And I see all these people in chat saying the same thing. I mean, I think it's a sentiment that we can all, or most of us, can attest to. So.
Yeah, I mean, thanks to quarantine, I actually started watching Dreams on Twitch. I'd never done that, but I'm like, okay, it's day 2 of quarantine. I'm bored as hell. What do I do now?
12-hour Twitch power stream. Come on.
Check out Twitch. Who's this Kel B. Jones guy? Never heard of him.
Yeah, definitely. I had the same experience where it was like Dreams took over and filled all of the space that was gone in my old life of being out and about and doing whatever. And but then when my friends from the old world called and they'd be like, man, I'm feeling so terrible, and what are you guys doing? And like everyone was always it seemed like so stressed, and I was like, oh my god, I haven't even really been thinking about that stuff. I've been busy. I've got this guy over here, I got we got this going on, and making a game, we're collabing, talking to this person, so it definitely feels like I said earlier, it's like the eternal fireplace that I just have on the Dreams community. It's like Twitch is going, I've got In Dreams where people are talking, commenting. It just feels like the warmest, best community. I somehow stumbled into it. It's overwhelmingly so positive. There's few toxic things going on, and yeah, I couldn't imagine a better online space to have just fallen into. So I'm super thankful and happy to be here.
I think you're right. I think I'm spoiled. Not only am I a square, but I'm spoiled. So because see, maybe that is the case. Maybe it's just it blew my mind so much just because, as I brought up before, I've been begging for specifically this game for years, like years of different failed podcast and random rants to myself on Twitch. And it's just like, maybe that's it. Maybe it did blow my mind so much. I'm like, just take it for granted now. Maybe that's what it is. Which also plays back into something I want to ask, but I'm going to hold off. So, but yeah, maybe y'all are right. Maybe it did change my life, but it was the life I wanted so much that I just didn't realize it happened. All right.
Yeah,
well,
absolutely.
I'll go ahead and have a mind baby over that later. So yeah, so I guess we're on to Ghost Fruit. Give us the topics.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to open up a brainstorm. And I feel like I'm playing the other side of this as a theme throughout this podcast so far. What do you think are some ideas for creating dreams that have viral potential and accompanying social media posts? So I feel like I have some limited insight to how things work on Instagram. And I've been spending some time over the past years working on art in that space. And that's probably why I've been playing the other side of this argument as well of, sure, like likes don't matter and you should have more than that in your arsenal to keep you going. But you should also want to know how to create something that is potentially popular. And that could be a method of wanting to get people into dreams and wanting to popularize the platform that we're spending time on and ensure that it's, that it goes on and that it grows. So that's like sort of the why of this question. And then the what is what kind of things can we make? I have like some rough ideas, but does anything come to mind when you think of, and this is something that I've talked to Magma, who's in the chat, about. And that's like, even if it's not something that feels cool or amazing to you, do you like maybe it's a multi-part question. Like, do you see value in that? And then if you do, like, what kind of ideas would you bring to the table for something that might have viral potential?
I would say it's the thing we all hate the most. or the thing that I think
Memes.
everybody hates the
no.
most, the memes.
No,
It's
no.
there's two
I thought you were going to
things.
say power
That's-
glove. Sorry.
No. Not yet. But look, I think it's the memes that'll get most of the people into the door as far as the youth. But I think the other thing that's the easiest to get out is this explosion in music that we're seeing. Music and music videos.
Yes.
I think that's going to be the thing that really gets people into the platform. Whereas once they're in, and once there is things like export, like you can pull other people in with the products that creates. But for now, I feel it's mostly memes. It's memes, GIFs, and music.
I think that recent music video that was made for the Sauceless One and Venwave song has a heck of a lot of potential to go viral. That is a masterful video, a great song. I mean, you put that all together, and things like that have a ton of potential.
Yeah.
Or Guarded Heart from Lady Snipeshot and Co. That was incredible. That's a song that for me could be in the charts. And you look at the video for that, and it was beautifully done, incredibly well sung, and it feels something very current. So you're right with music. I'm gonna throw something out there as an alternative, and it may not go viral in the same way as perhaps the original question was intended. But let's bear in mind that as we stand today, a lot of people are still homeschooling. A lot of kids are trying to learn remotely. We know Dreams can be a powerhouse as an educational resource. Imagine if there were a whole bunch of lessons that you could do in Dreams, whether that was humorous or whether that was just, play it straight and just give the facts. Being able to, I don't know, model osmosis or something like that and do that as a little short viral video. Those sorts of things. Yeah, do you know what? They're not fun, but it would be a way to get something kind of productive out there and kind of share something at the moment. So
I think to get Dreams as a platform and not just something within Dreams to go viral, to get the whole platform to go to the next level, Twitch interactivity is a big thing. I think I've been told, and I've never played any Little Big Planet games, but I've been told that LBP had Twitch interactivity, and there was gadgets that you could put into your game, right, that would allow Twitch chat to interact. If Dreams had that, and Wylet in the chat even said the big streamers need to start playing. If Dreams had that, that's how you get that kind of viral reaction, I guess, for the platform itself, not just something within the platform.
I believe it's on the Trello board. Twitch integration, additional Twitch integration. I'm pretty sure that's on the R&D Trello.
I think that should take precedent over multiplayer, over PS5 updates, over all those types of things that people have talked about. I think that's the thing that they really need to focus on if they want their platform to grow.
Go ahead.
Mighty Vicious doesn't like that.
Controversial opinion.
No, it's not that I don't. It's not that I don't like it. It's more so that I was thinking on the getting big streamers to play Dreams, and I don't think I want that. And the only reason I say that is because I want big streamers to come out of Dreams and play it. Whereas I've seen almost every single big streamer that I've seen play, whether they're creating videos on YouTube or if they're just doing it in their streams. Like I had a streamer that I've been following for have to be 8 years now, and he's always been great. But he picked up Dreams and he was just let's see what quality content we can find today. And it's that tone that he took with it really just, I unfollowed. I immediately, maybe I'm just being sensitive because Dreams mean so much to me, but that hearing him do that and his response to things that we all know for someone to do, it's hard. And they still put their work out there. It just, I don't know if we can trust them to actually present it in the right light. It has to come from us.
There's the additional point to that to back up what you're saying, Mighty Vicious. And I've seen it once or twice, even within our own community in the early days. And that's the point that you don't know who's on the other side of that. I look at a creation done by MC Alchemist, And until, some time ago, it was a while ago, granted, but I have no idea who MC Alchemist is as an individual. It might be that MC Alchemist is a 10-year-old kid who is just trying to get something out there. And for all I know, a hell of a beard for a 10-year-old kid, don't get me wrong. But for all I know, the creator whose creation I'm looking at and tearing a new one might be 10 years old. So you don't know who's on the other side of that. And they're still putting it out there. And I think, do you know what? If it's a one-man person building a game, whether you create Lock 2.0 or whether you create CubeSmear 2.0, there's an element of you don't know who's on the other side of that screen. And I think that there's a degree of respect that has to be granted to that.
I go into everything assuming everyone's 10 years old. I really do. If they hop into my Twitch
mentally,
chat,
I am.
if they're in the Twitch chat, if they've made a game, I just assume that they're a little kid until I know different, because you're going to treat a little kid differently and with more respect, with more patience. Now, when you have people coming from the outside looking in, like he said, these big streamers, and I've seen them crap all over Dreams. I've seen it happen. They don't understand what it takes. And so for them, I don't take it personally. I know some people might, but at the end of the day, it's getting Dreams a ton of exposure. And if those type of people, whether or not they crap on Dreams or not, if 10, 20 creators come from just one stream of 100, I don't know, 50, what's a lot of, I don't know what's a lot of people for a big streamer, but if like 10 or 20 people come from one of their streams, then we get one 800 pixel gorilla or one pixel tuner or one ghost fruit or something like that, creator of that level out of there, then it was worth it for that guy to crap on Dreams, in my opinion, because then we all gain from just having someone new in the community like that. Because that streamer that's going to crap on Dreams, he's going to come crap on Dreams and leave. But the person that comes from that and joins Dreams and joins the community and starts creating is going to stick around and help Dreams grow and be better.
See, I would hope that you're right. And I just, a lot of the big streamers are memes themselves. And that makes me think that we're not going to have someone in that group of people watching them that's going to make their own decision. They're going to take it the way it's presented by him, not necessarily how we would present it. Like, there hasn't been, I'm sorry, but there's not one thing, even memes, that I've touched on Dreams where I was just like, well, that person needs to go do something else. Like, but if you have a streamer that's, that does that, and then they don't even, like, that's why we're so busy working on curation. Or I say we, but it's All Star and everyone else is getting into curation. It's so that we could try to push those things to the front where they can't make that statement. So I hope you're correct. I hope you are right. But I feel like if someone comes with that approach and they're big enough to make that big of, like, the difference that we're talking about, it'll be hard for that audience that hangs on that every word to come out. But if they do, you are absolutely correct. Absolutely.
I'm gonna take this topic on a whole other end of the stick and talk about virality in its literal sense, right? So let's just take Among Us, for instance. Huge game right now. Massive #1 title. Everyone's streaming it. Everyone's doing YouTube videos about it. All the big players are on it. 2 years ago, no one knew what it was, and it's been out for over 2 years. And the reason why it's so popular now is because one big YouTuber found it, one big YouTuber liked it, made a bunch of videos about it, all their followers download it, the other YouTubers see what they're doing, they copy, it spreads, it goes viral. That's how something goes viral. It's pure luck for something to go viral. And I think it will happen with Dreams. It just hasn't happened yet. I think someone is going to see a creation within Dreams. They're going to just randomly see it on Twitter or randomly boot up the game to see what's been happening on it. They haven't touched it for ages. They're going to find something, love it, post it, videos about it. Everyone copies, same as Among Us, and it's going to happen. It's just pure luck. I don't think it has anything to do with the game itself. I don't think you can naturally create something that's going to be viral unless you already have the popularity. It's like Warzone, for instance. You know, Call of Duty naturally made a Royale game because PUBG did so well. They knew they would go viral because they already have the player base for it. It's a completely different scenario. I just think that one day someone's going to find something on Dreams and they're going to be like, wow, this was made on a PlayStation. Like, I need to show all my followers this, have a natural love for it, and it will just blow up.
Yeah.
And I think my frustration is that I've had those moments so many times. Temporal Fuse, Lock, Pig Detective 3, the Guarded Heart video, You Do You, the song, you know, all of these things, when you put those together, any number of those could be standalone indie developed titles you could release on Steam, and they are stunning. And we've already got those waiting in the wings, if you like, to happen. Lo-Fi Doku, another great example of that. Low-Key Doku, sorry. Another great example of that. Just a really simple idea, stupidly addictive, lose hours in that trying to get a high score. You know, there are so many of those games that are already there. And I think, you know, it's entirely possible that the next big viral Dreams thing is already out there.
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just a matter of time of when those big influencers are going to share it. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. Without the huge influencers, nothing rarely goes viral anymore. It's all in the influencers' hands. And it's a shame that it's that way, but it's the truth. Unless PewDiePie or Jacksepticeye plays a game, it's not going to go viral. That's why these people pay them so much to play them in the first place, to get forced virality. And it's such a shame that is the way, but it is, and it's the truth.
So I think if we're defining virality as like the very top, so I opened this with like viral potential, and I think to have the success that Among Us has, you have to have that top level. But I do have to disagree that you have no agency in creating something with viral potential, because I spent the last like 3 years figuring out how that works for art on Instagram, and it's absolutely formulaic. It's like all about how you create, well, you have to have like a pretty good piece of art, but it's all about how you create the process video, and it's all about the audio, and it's all about how you're showing like the brush strokes. And that took me from like, you know, 0 to 50K or whatever, and just figuring out the formula. So
production value.
That's what I'm like trying to get at, is I know that there's a way that we can package Dreams and create social media posts that show off just like the recipe videos Wyled said. I know that there's a formula that we can make something that showcases Dreams in a way where we're showing the process that's really satisfying to watch.
I
totally agree with you, James and Freaky at the same time, but I think there's this other thing that we do have agency.
We need those sexy shots of Dreams is what we need.
Yes. How do we get those? What do you guys think? How do we get those?
We lost someone.
Alchemist is gone.
All these are going to be, all these windows are weird now, but hopefully he comes back.
Look, I am now goat fruit. Yay, I'm goat fruit.
What's going on? Hi.
I'm still.
I like how no one is James.
There's an arm there.
Hold on, my arm can be James. Hold on. Wait, which one is it?
Wait, can you guys high five each other? Can you get?
Wait. Hold on.
I'm not going to be able to work this out.
That's not going to happen. Brain power.
I'm trying to do it with what I'm seeing on the screen, not the stream. That's confusing.
Sock puppet time.
Yeah.
So we'll keep it here for now. Things are a little crazy, but it'll work. It'll work. If you don't know what's going on in the audio version, we've lost someone in our picture frames, and they're all crazy now. So we'll see what happens. I wanted to get a statement out before this was done. Hopefully he comes back. Because has anybody seen House MD? Anybody here a House MD fan? Does he remind you of Chase?
Little bit. I see what you mean.
You mean like Dr. House. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
He reminds me of Chase. Anyway, boy. So we'll just keep going with this, and I guess well, it's
the rest of us are generic beard number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Apparently,
generic beard.
We don't look like any.
Oh my! So look,
Sorry, I'm just thrown off base right now.
Yeah, it's a little weird, and like I told y'all about my settings, I get iffy, but I'm here. So I'll go into the next topic, which is like I believe Freaky brought this up on Twitter the other day, and it grows in importance as talks about exporting continues to increase. Like, how do we all feel about using assets from the Dreamiverse on personal projects? Like, is it a community mindset free to use, or is like that what's actually dirtying the exporting process?
Define what you mean by exporting.
I mean, people wanting to take their creations, whether it be games or music or whatever, out of Dreams and put it into another platform. Like, is that what's holding up that's the idea of exporting?
That's already an option for music. If you're able to reach out through the, I think I'm not sure all the proper channels. Acert's done this for his Laser Bounce, where he reached out to MM to pull the audio that he used for his Laser Bounce game out of Dreams and use it in a mobile game that he's working on now, which is going to be Laser Bounce mobile. So it's already an option if you're a musician. But as for someone who's looking like to 3D print or to take your game, like to put lock on the PSN, I see where you're coming from, because he uses assets from the Dreamiverse. And so how do you credit those people? Is there if you profit from it, are they owed something? That's a tough one. And I think that may be one of the big holdups on exporting. I think you're right.
If you create assets in Unreal and you share them and you don't charge anyone for them and you just put assets out there and other people use those assets and create a game with that, same principle, you don't get credited. The difference is that you don't have a choice in Dreams. When you put something out there, people can use it and you don't have a choice in that. I think...
How do you... I mean, you do have a choice because you just make it so it's not remixable if you don't want people to use it.
Even if it's not remixable, there's nothing stopping me from plucking it and putting it into a scene. And you don't get the credit for that. You don't get, that is the challenge, I think, that as it stands. I think in terms of exporting things from Dreams, I would love to be able to, for example, export things. I'd love to do a chess set, a 3D printed chess set using things that I created in Dreams. I would love to do that. I would love to do a 3D printed chess set of Masha Button's plastic characters. I think that would be hilarious. So you had a chess set of those guys. But, I don't think that diminishes or takes away from what Dreams is as it stands today.
You mean Magma's plastic Magma Monsters?
Sorry, not Masha. Yeah. I'm sorry. I got that completely wrong. Okay. Magma's.
You see, I would say that although the Dreamiverse asset issue is probably one of the biggest issues for exportation, I would say that the actual background work for the legality of exportation is probably the biggest hurdle that they would have to come across. Because exporting something off of a first-party studio title to then be able to use that on any other platform is going to be difficult, because Dreams is coded for the PlayStation. Everything is mapped for the PlayStation controller. So if exportation did become a thing for Dreams, I think it's going to be exclusive to the Sony platform, because they'd be stupid to sort of break away from that in the first instance anyway.
I think that's why we'll never see Dreams on PC.
Yeah. You're never going to see it on... I strongly agree that you're never going to see Dreams on any other platform. The thing that makes Dreams special is that it's all doable on a console with the DualShock. That's what's amazing. You don't need a mouse, you don't need a keyboard. Everything's done with this singular controller. And that, to me, is what makes Dreams special. But back to the exportation of things, you know, this is Sony's product. They're not going to breach this out to other platforms when exclusivity is such a big thing right now. You know, having exclusive titles is defining to a console for some people.
I feel like I
And-
need to clarify. 'Cause, like, when I say breach out to platforms, I mean just like, you know, if I want to take this and I want to submit it into a film festival, like technically I could do that already. But you know,
Yeah.
but at the same time, if I were to do that, and then I have okay, now we gotta get these squares put back together. But if we were to
Back.
Welcome back.
if I were to do that, like I wonder if somebody would just come out of the woodwork and be like, "Hey, that's my lamp model." Like, you know, do you think we can withstand
I think
that?
that's
or-
why there's a
or-
process to do. I mean, you go through MM and they have to, you know, vet the creation. I think there's a whole process to that. I don't know the entire process, but I think that's why you have to go through them to be allowed to publish your things outside of Dreams.
And I'm playing musical windows here.
This is crazy right now.
So I'm playing musical windows trying to get these lined back up.
Wow.
There is a quicker way, which I should have thought of before, but I'll do it while we're talking about it. Like, I don't know. There's something in the back of my mind that makes me feel like this is going to cause like a real big issue in the future, and that I think people's wants for things to happen on the Dreams platform is making it come faster. It's like a doomsday that's coming, because like, yeah, you can take stuff out already, but what happens when somebody does decide to be not communal about certain things? Like, or
I
if
think
something gets
that
really popular.
if you're looking to make a film that you plan to take to a film festival, I don't think you should be doing it with the intent of using Dreamiverse assets. I think if you're looking for that kind of, like, if you're planning for that ahead of time, I'm not going to be using and remixing and using other people's assets. I'm going to be using mine for that purpose, or like have a team together like you guys did with Dino, and have that group make everything for that project. I think you're seeing a lot of that with Ninja Cat right now. They're doing, now I don't know, they may be using assets from the Dreamiverse, but if they plan to release that, they would probably do it all in-house.
I think it's the only. To be quite frank, I don't think exportation is coming within the next 3 years on Dreams. I think everybody that is expecting, you know, this big thing to happen and you can export games, not going to happen for the next 3 years. You know, they're more. I think Media Molecule's got more important things to worry about than exportation. You know, that I think they want to refine the engine. They want to add more stuff to it. They're such an experimental studio. You know, I think there's a lot more coming to Dreams, and exportation is completely on the back burner. I have no faith in it coming out within the next 3 or 4 years.
Bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
100%.
But still, maybe not exporting games, but music and videos are already an option.
Yes.
They're already an option, yes, but only to a certain quality because of the way that you export stuff through sharing, like, you know, through the screen recording. For instance, you know, when you're making music on a digital audio workface, you have so many different options for the bit rate you want to bounce the track off of, what type of format, you know, how the channels work and everything. You can't do that with Dreams. You just have to record the screen and then turn that into an MP3. So you don't have the same quality of exportation. For that type of side of Dreams, I think that could come earlier for music and for film. But the whole game side of it, it's just a massive black hole of problems, and I just think they're not interested right now.
All right.
I think.
Go ahead.
I think that there's so many things to come with Dreams, and that we all see this potential, and we get so excited about, well, what if they did this and they could do this, and why don't they do this? But at the end of the day, like, we've got this great tool in front of us, and I think at times we just got to take a step back and appreciate what we've already got.
Yeah, if nothing changed at all, I'd still use Dreams for another 10 years.
Yeah. Yep, same.
I'm with
If
you.
this is if this is it, and they don't do another day's development on Dreams, I would still be playing this in 10 years' time, 100%. And I guarantee we would still be saying, "Holy hell, how was that made in Dreams? That's a 10-year-old game."
And the quality of the Dreams are just going to improve. Like, look at Lock, and you don't think Lock 2 is going to step it up? I mean, things like that. Like Pig Detective, you've seen the progression in Pig Detective 1, 2, 3, right? So the quality of the Dreams are going to get better. You get guys like Ghost Fruit who just popped in out of nowhere, and look at the stuff he's making already. So we get other guys like that to come into the community, and it's just going to grow. I mean, the sky's the limit, and the tools that we haven't even been fully explored. So I'm not asking for anything more, not yet.
When the studio themselves are turning around and going, "We don't know how they did that," that's a good sign.
Right. Yeah.
Too right.
I'm with you on that. It's like, it's really fun to think about the potential in the future, but it's also great to remember that we're in a party and we're having a blast. And it's like, oh yeah, we're here, we're doing this amazing thing together. It's good to pull back for a second and take that all in.
Yeah. I mean, just put it this way. I mean, because there's always a big conversation around exportation, but let's just say Media Molecule put out a poll tonight, and they say, which option would you rather have be released tonight into Dreams? Exportation or be able to import reference images? I think you'll find reference imaging is going to blast exportation.
I'm not sure if anyone else has a PS5, but you can do picture-in-picture and send yourself like a text message and open up references in like a picture-in-picture for Dreams. It's fantastic.
Yep, very useful on PS.
For the 1% of the world that has a PS5, maybe.
Yeah, I mean that's coming for everyone.
I had my little like slowed down explosion, and I was like trying to make it frame by frame.
Yeah, and then also, like, if for a lot of people that stream, they have the double setup. Before I had all that, I had my phone, and I'd sit there and use. And I mean, I guess it's kind of like cumbersome to some extent, but at the end of the day, like, I would much rather be able to 3D print or to pull things from Dreams and put them in other places than to just get a picture up on the screen. I think that's minor in the scheme of things.
Yeah, so what about just being able to export a sculpt to a 3D printer? So you would get a 3D file, which would be I'm sure that could be generated from the points. It's been done, right?
It's already been done. Yeah, they've already done it.
We know that the studio have done it. Yeah.
So do you feel like that there's a conflict with that being a feature, or?
I wouldn't say it's a conflict. I would say, because we asked this question to Abby on the show for the debut of season 2, and she said that it's definitely something that they would love to be able to add to Dreams, and it's on their pipeline of things that they would love to implement. I would say it's definitely possible. I would just say that to be able to 3D print the file would have to be your own. It would have to be original.
Yeah.
I think it's the only way around it, because again, you're going to have this whole copyright issue.
I like that.
That's going to be a headache. So as long as the file is original, then yeah, I can't see an issue with it.
Yeah, to me, of course, this is like the easy thing to be like, oh yeah, that sounds doable, but hopefully it's doable.
Again, it's the whole development cycle.
Let's hope so.
It's the software development life cycle. Right. If you can only do one thing, what's the one thing that you put your energy into? And forgive me, but with everything that we've said so far, it doesn't, for me, in my opinion, and from what I've read, it doesn't hit the top 3 features most requested. And until it's in those top 3, it's not going to get the development focus that it needs to move over the line. So I agree with James when he's saying that that's a couple of years away. They've got so much stuff they want to do with Dreams. And the question is, where does that lie in the priority order?
Intriguing.
I definitely think.
And just to touch on,
it's just a matter.
Just to touch on the 3D printing thing. I've made a couple things in Dreams that I would love to have in real life, and I'm sure that there's other people that feel the same way. I had talented. I don't know how to use Maya or any of those type of things, ZBrush and those type of things. But I had a talented lady that made a 3D sculpt of Sosa, my dog, that I use on stream to do like just hangs out there more or less. But she was able to 3D print that, and I don't know if you guys can see this, but so I have this is what the type of thing that you would have. Everybody would have their own, characters and 3D printed. I mean, it's just, to me, that's so cool. Like I have one here at home. I have one at my desk at work. And so I've already kind of experienced that to some extent, even though it's not from Dreams. So to see, to know that that's a possibility that could come down the road is super exciting for me.
All I can say is if 3D printing does come, I'm going to be broke, because the first thing I'm doing is 3D printing every plastic Dreamer that has been created so far. I mean, there's like 70 plus already. I'm going to be broke so quick.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just want them all on my wall.
So, I mean, yeah, like I said, it just, I feel like there's a few topics in what we just discussed. But yeah, I do fear that maybe, in all of this, maybe we're like some of the things we're asking for could be leading us to a dangerous place, and maybe, but at the same time, I think just talking about it also further endears us to Dreams. Like it's like when you get that, it's like when you go out and you buy that lottery ticket and you're not going to win, but you think about what you would do with all that money. Like, and you're just like happy for that 24 hours or so. Just like, man, what would I do with that money? I feel like that's what this does for Dreams. But in the end, I think everything will work out.
I disagree, you see, because everything that we've discussed here is definitely possible in the scope of Dreams, and I think that it is on their pipeline. Exportation, 3D printing, it's all stuff that's going to happen. I mean, they haven't got a 10-year plan for nothing. There's clearly an end game with Dreams.
I think I was saying that it was the possibility that makes
okay.
that brings.
Maybe I read it wrong. I apologize.
Feelings. Yeah, but no, it's. I mean, I agree. They're looking at all this stuff, and I believe everything they've said they want to do, they intend to try to pull it off. And I just wonder what I would say I wonder / have concerns if they don't. Like, are we like, because ultimately the question I was going to bring up that this kind of curbed was, are we asking too much? Because as we've all spent this whole time talking about, like, Dreams is amazing. What we can do is amazing. And like what we've been given, even if nothing more comes of it, is amazing. And so like I said, part of my worry / concern is, well, what if for some reason it doesn't come? Like, it's a what if, and I don't think we really need to concern ourselves 100% with that idea. But, at the end of the day, will we be happy with Dreams as is? Just being what it is, what we love right now.
I think we really just have to trust the process, and like are the guiding light here. Like they've been doing this a long time, but they know what they're doing, and yeah, we just got to trust in them.
I mean, and on top of that, it's hard to ask for more features because I'm still learning things every single day. I just learned about the onion skinning in Paint the other day, and it just blew my mind that you could even do that. I didn't know that was an option. And it seems like, I watched Sauceless one stream the other day. I know nothing about music, so it's all like magic to me. But to see some of the things that he did with the audio tools that I had no clue were even possible, it was just amazing to me that there's so much depth that I still have to discover. And you get guys that are top creators in Dreams. You get people like Magma Monster. You get people like Piece of Craft, Elka, Pixel Gorilla that are saying like, well, some of them do, some of them don't, but that are saying like, look, we haven't even scratched the surface yet. Like, there's so much more to do. Yeah. So I know that some people were making like massive games that they want like a PS5 update for, but at the end of the day, the more that we can fit in what we already have, then when we get that PS5 update, it just makes us able to go 10 times farther than if we got it now. We're already if we can fit things into the limit that we have now, when we have 2-3 times that limit, imagine what we're capable of.
See,
Yeah.
I have. Go ahead, because I'm about to ask a question directly related to that. Go ahead. Somebody was about to go. Go.
Yeah, I was just going to say. I was just going to say, one of the. I remember being told when I was in a different career path. Someone said to me, "Feedback is a gift, but it doesn't have to be accepted." And Media Molecule are one of the most open development groups that I think is out there. They are wanting everyone's feedback. They want Dreams to be a success. They want to give everybody the features that they want to give them. But I think the important thing is that we are all welcome to offer our feedback. It is a gift. They don't have to take that feedback. If Media Molecule decided to, and I don't imagine they ever would, but if Media Molecule decided they wanted to, and they just shut the whole thing down and said, look, we're closing off all feedback. We will develop what we want to develop, and we will just pump out what we pump out, and that's it. We won't be opening the conversation. We won't be listening to you anymore. They're well within their rights to do that. And I think the risk is that people start to have, with, again, nothing but respect, but people think they know what's right for Dreams, and it's not their game. They're not the ones who built it. They don't know the limitations behind it, and it becomes an expectation rather than, I think this would be lovely. It turns into, why are you not rah? And they've no idea of the legal systems, the programming systems, the development systems, the requirements. They have no idea of visibility of that, and they just kind of get these blinkers on. I think offer your feedback that's critical and they invite it. Don't expect it to end up in the game.
Yeah, it's also important to ask for like small things that can be changed like relatively easily instead of like shooting for pie in the sky things right away.
Like monospace fonts.
Yeah,
Sorry.
like just give us multiplayer tomorrow, no big deal. But it's really small things like quality of life things. Like shout out All Star for helping get the Dreams by people you follow right at the top of Dream
awesome.
Surfing, which is fantastic. If I follow you, I'm going to like everything you make now. It's incredible.
Indeed.
Just like little things like that can make a big difference.
Can we get better yellows in Dreams? That's my only request. Some better yellows. Does anybody else have a problem with the yellows in Dreams?
Yellows?
Or is it just me?
No,
Yes.
I'm not colorist,
Color?
Notre Dame.
Yeah. I have a problem getting good yellows out of Dreams.
That's so interesting. I've never heard that one before.
What do you feel
Is
like
your
they're coming
screen
out
configured
dark
right?
or what?
I feel like they're coming out greenish, that they're not. The yellow is just not good in Dreams. And I discovered this. I don't know if you guys have seen. I made a hexadecimal color converter so I could bring colors from outside of Dreams into Dreams. And as I'm making that, I'm like, am I doing something wrong? What's wrong with these yellows? And I've never been able to get them right no matter what I do. And just today, or maybe yesterday, it was last night, I was watching Danny Kaka's stream, and he was like, he was making one of the plastic dreamers. And he's like, why does this yellow look so weird? And he thought there was a tint on it. He's new to sculpting. And so he was asking me, and I'm like, no, it's just the yellows and Dreams. Like, that's just what it is.
I thought it was just me.
No, I find the material makes a huge difference to the to the color that anything takes on. So if you change it if you put waxiness right up, for example, it changes the tonality of the color. And I find that colors are much more pastel-y the less waxy they are, and much more vibrant the more waxy they are. And it's because of the way the light interacts with the material. It punches up the color a fair bit, is what I found at least.
Well,
Gotcha.
this goes directly into what I wanted to ask. I used two creations, one from Alchemist and one from Ghost Fruit, where I was in the intro to today's episode, and it was two full-scale paintings that you two did. And I have a technical question. Help a brother out. How? No, the reason
Only one word answers allowed.
Yeah, I can clarify, but I'm currently working on a character that I want to paint feathers, like large feathers, and I literally got to use 2 feathers before the whole thing was like, hey, you're exceeding what I can do, bro. And I'm like, what? I've seen people do whole screens of paint, yet me doing these 2, and they're not even huge. So
Were they physical?
yes,
That's it. Yeah.
that's
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Just make it
I
not
think
physical.
Yeah, physical paint
Alchemist, your
limits.
whole thing is non-physical,
Was a
right?
one-word answer.
Yeah, yeah, definitely non-physical.
So
Awesome.
all of the movement that I got from the couple that I did was just from the hand-drawn animation, just sliding that up. To different degrees depending on how close they are to the camera and how big the flecks are. You know, it's like the smaller flecks. The scale of the fleck responds to that hand-drawn animation slider differently. But yeah, Alchemist, you could probably speak to this as well.
Yeah, thanks to Ghost for I'm dedicating that MM pick to you because I was inspired by your scene. And essentially, like all those are like lucid stew sculpts and other sculpts that are like combined together and then literally just painted over it with surface snap. And then just like over and over again, you get some modular pieces you can clone out. And then, more hand-drawn animation, some waviness. That's that.
Very cool. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's very therapeutic. I would recommend painting the town red.
Yeah. I did a similar thing where I did some things just on a flat surface, and then I did some things where I just made sort of like a quick sculpt using like soft sculpt or just kind of like getting a blob. And then you can use surface snap, or you can use what's the other one? Tentacle snap. If you want the end to be free. And sometimes I had to switch to that just to get like something like the hands, you know, like around the fingers, and then I would. The cool thing about a painting like that is if you're not getting the type of, you know, shadows and things that you want from the lighting source, you can just take like black flecks and like loosen them up and make them really low opacity and stick them in to create like shadows. Or you can also mess with the material, how shiny you want it, and you can like blast lights into your scene to create really dramatic effects, and it's really fun. I'm just kind of getting into it.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize you could do metallic painting. Like change the properties on your flex for sure. It can do a lot.
Particularly when it comes to what you just said there, Dylan, regarding kind of the shadows. So I did a candle flickering a while back, and one of the things that I did was just action recorded me just adjusting the opacity and the height and the positioning of that and the size of that particular one single circular black fleck, and it made it look like the shadow was reacting to the way the candle was flickering. You know, things like that are, you know, it's those little tricks that can make a big difference.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
Awesome.
I think we all know that tricks make a big difference. If you just look at Martin Nebelong's new Space remixable scene, where it's completely made out of text boxes. You know,
amazing.
The smoke and mirrors effect of dreams is very important to be able to get the effect that you want. You've got to bend the rules, and you just got to mess around with it like crazy. Like that one scene just blew my mind. I messed around with it, took it apart, dissected it, and it's just like, this is literally just all text boxes. It's absolutely insane. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and one thing that helps that painting scene of mine tick is duplicates. So you can really get that like 3D effect. Like before I put any duplicates in the scene, it was really like flat. But if you just add a tiny bit of duplicates and spread them out just a little bit, you can get like this 3D paint effect. That was super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just sitting there fighting that one feather, and I was like, okay, let me take it back to one. Let me mess around with some stuff, and then I'd start copying it, duplicating it, and then it's like, nope, not gonna work. And I was like, oh god,
physical paint is super expensive. Yeah. But if I could just like guide a light really quick back to the idea for social assets that have not viral potential, or at least like a little, I do think that paintings along with audio could be an area where if we can get, because the thing that I've noticed on some platforms is that people are really interested in the tools, and you know, if on a post I forget to write iPad 9.7 inch generation 6 in the brush, and like if the app is Procreate, if I forget to write all those details, I'll get a bunch of comments of people asking me that. So I'm thinking like the interest is there. So if we can just show off what can be done with maybe just painting, people will be asking about what is this program? How can I use it? So I do think that there's an angle there to get people interested in the tool through a process video. And something like what Alchemist does too. I mean, I think like there could be, like, I feel like you could easily whip up lyric videos, like what you've done with layers and ink, like just get in touch with some
those are so
bands
much fun to make.
and start making lyric videos on YouTube. People will be asking, and I feel like that's another pathway there. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on that.
No, I mean, I agree completely.
Yeah, I think just like pulling in everyone. There's so many different areas. Yeah, it's a great point.
I think if we take that to its not necessarily natural conclusion, but we take that to a logical end point, one of the things I think would be absolutely fascinating is to watch, for example, a time-lapse video of one of those paintings being created while music that was made in Dreams plays alongside it. So it's like your recipe videos, it's like your viral videos, but it shows the actual process. Because one of the things that's most rewarding, I frequently fall down a YouTube black hole of old junk being restored to its former glory. And it's that process that you enjoy more than the end product. I forgive me, but I couldn't really give a damn about the end product. It's the process that I find fascinating. Oh, they're using sandblasting to remove the paint. That's really interesting. I don't care. I'll never do it myself. But mentally, in terms of brain fodder, I'm going, oh, okay, that's interesting. And those sorts of videos, I think, would be fascinating. Seeing it build into a final product and then going, oh, wow, that would be incredible.
Yeah. Great idea.
Well, so now we're in a free-for-all. We got about 14 minutes before we have to wrap this up. And, so if anybody's got that testy thing going, they want to throw something spicy out on us, now's the time. If not, I'm just going to try to create something.
I didn't really get to respond to Dylan's earlier question about like what might go viral, like what dreams creation. So I think in a competitive esport with those super high skill ceiling that's fun to watch is like something, to Noter's point, that is like people would watch it on Twitch. Like that people love seeing stuff like 90,000 people are watching Rocket League every day. And I think something in that vein, once we get multiplayer, would be huge.
Yeah, I think multiplayer is definitely going to have a massive impact on Dreams, especially in the Twitch side. Once you get those really fun, quick multiplayer games that people love to watch on Twitch anyway, massive opportunity to utilize that to Dreams' advantage, 100%.
I can't wait to see the I can't remember the name of it now. Sorry, it's the shooter with the robots where you're running around and there's all the platforms you can wall run and everything. It's only been out in like the last month or so.
Corrupted momentum.
Yes.
Track down.
That in a 2 to 4 player mode with like an arena style shooter, take something like that. I would have that on in the background 24/7.
Absolutely.
I would love to watch something like that.
What about that game? I can't remember what it's called. Again, recent, was just shown on an MM stream with a robot called Rob in it.
Oh yes.
That with multiplayer would be awesome.
That would be very cool.
Stream.
I think Piece of Craft's kart racer game is going to be really good. I mean, it's like rock solid the way he's building it, and if that can just be like a Mario Kart experience where we're all playing together, and if there's Twitch interactivity somehow, that'd be insane. Yeah.
Even go on.
Yeah. Oh, and then to add like all these, there's going to be a ton of like Mario Party type clones coming once multiplayer comes. I know that a lot of the big creators are just waiting for the multiplayer online before they make their multiplayer games that they have planned. I mean, I've got some in the back of my mind already that why make it now when I've got all these other ideas, wait until that time comes.
I mean, you've got things like asynchronous multiplayer. So if it could be done, so you could tie in with a Twitch audience, where the Twitch audience could control the main character and multiple other people could control other characters. And it was some kind of face-off, multiplayers versus
Oh,
the
wow.
Twitchverse. You know,
Gee.
that would be
That's a whole other
incredible.
level.
That would be incredible. Can you
Yeah.
imagine how crazy that would get?
Yeah.
You think about that game where you had like one player played as a monster and the other 4 were the hunters. Obviously not to that
Yes.
complexity, but
Yeah.
something like that could be fun. Or low-key Doku with multiplayer, whereas you're clearing off lines and squares and cubes. Player 2 is receiving them dumping into their level or something. You know, all of those things will all be possible.
Yeah, see,
Yeah,
that's what I
it's-
was thinking when you were talking about like Twitch interactive. It's like if you had a group of people playing like a Mario Kart type thing, or as Pac is working on that racer, like if you had it so that they could drop random like blocks into the path of the track. So it's just like the people
Yeah.
watching would be able to interact in that way. That would be pretty crazy.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
close like a bridge, or open up a new pathway or something. Yeah, it'd be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm super curious how they're going to work VR into multiplayer. I'm not sure if anyone here has played VR chat or knows what it is.
Yeah, I know what
just
it
watch
is.
YouTube.
Yeah, it's absolutely insane. Like, it's insane. And
It's a crazy
really,
place.
and
I don't
really,
like.
Dreams has the potential to be VR chat for PlayStation. And
Fully customizable.
exactly, yeah, you can create your own worlds. You can invite people to them.
That's
can have,
another
like-
question, though, isn't it? I mean, are they going to add, voice capability to the multiplayer?
Oh, they have to, without a doubt.
You see, I don't think they have to. I think it's a feature that would be desirable, but I don't think it's absolutely needed for multiplayer to work.
I mean, I don't think it's necessary because you have the PlayStation Party Chat, and it's not like it's cross-platform. So, I mean, if you're trying to play with like random people, that's one thing. But I think Dreams has such a tight-knit community, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. What do you need more than a PlayStation Party Chat? I mean, just as long as we've got multiplayer, I could care less at that point.
Yeah, I don't need to be able to talk to everybody. I don't need to be able to talk to
Yeah,
everyone.
I'm not saying delay multiplayer if they're like waiting to put that feature in. But I think it would add a lot.
Yeah.
The other aspect of multiplayer is the creating side of things. Can you imagine being able to simultaneously sculpt and edit a scene and make music and all the rest of it in multiplayer with someone else at the same time?
Wow.
Can you imagine?
Think of that.
And I
That's
think
what
that
originally really excited me about Dreams.
Multiplayer dream shaping. I've never considered that. I've always saw it as the dream surfing side of it. The dream shape that would be like changing the whole game, really, wouldn't it?
For
So
someone
Alex Evans, originally when he started talking about multiplayer, this was what he was saying, and he was saying that this is why it's so hard to do. Because when they were having conversations about multiplayer, he was saying, "Look, we're not doing multiplayer just playing. We're talking about doing multiplayer entirely integrated into the product." And that's what sits behind this. And so when people say, "Oh, multiplayer is not that hard to do," I'm biting my tongue going, "Shut up. You've no idea what you've missed in other conversations." This is what they're trying to get to.
Right. And for someone like myself, who's like very passionate about learning and teaching, I love to like take in everything I can and then just push it back out to other people. That would be such a great tool for that. And it's been brought up in chat a couple times by Mikey C. Is that's his biggest thing that he's excited about, is to be able to create with others. And I think when you're even on some of the collaborations I've worked on, if I had been able to we've screen shared and we've done other things. We found ways to do it to some extent, but it's not the same as if you're both in the scene and you're both able to make the edits together. I'll take a step back now. You make these edits. Oh, I see what you were talking about now, rather than somebody coach you through it.
Almost like a mentorship. I mean, can you imagine if you were creating music or something and you were able to get hold of Dylan and say, "Dylan, I'm really struggling with this. I don't understand how this particular LFO works." And Dylan could jump in and literally join you in a multiplayer environment and go, "Yeah, this is exactly how it works. And this is this and this is this. And this is the difference between that. And you can hear that difference when I do this." it's that hands-on experience that is it's Twitch +1. You know, it's Twitch. It's greater than Twitch.
I do think that the PlayStation 5 has already taken a big step in that direction, though, because a couple nights ago, Danny Kaka was doing his first ever sculpt, and I hopped into a party chat with him, and he put the picture-in-picture on screen, and I walked him through some techniques that I wanted to teach him, and he was able to watch me do it and then do it himself. So that there's already some of that there, but to be able to be in the same scene would be great.
Talking about, the potential for the next generation, and I don't want to get segued into PS5, but, within the PlayStation 5 UI, you've got the pop-up cards that can happen with the little videos. Imagine being able to create your own mini tutorials that are 1 or 2 minutes long, submit them to Media Molecule, go, here, I've done a wood tutorial, or I've done a tutorial on how to, build Uranus, or whatever it might be, and they would be able to say, yeah, I love that, let's stick that in, and there would be a range of kind of built-in tutorials. That sort of thing would be incredible.
Tap would just go crazy on that.
Can you imagine having that knowledge on tap, so to speak?
No. I mean, that's what I need for, I think, some of the things that I have trouble with in Dreams. Like, if I could have someone who knows logic, even if it's simple, because I don't know a lot, but if they came in and was like, this does this does this is how this needs to be, like, that alone is better. Like, I retain knowledge better that way. Whereas, like, watching tutorials and stuff, I'm like, all right, I got it. I feel like I got it. And then I see a blank screen, and I'm like, I just lost it all. It all went away somehow. Like, I think that, yeah, because I haven't even really wrapped my head around multiplayer for this game yet. I've just been so kind of, I don't know, in my own department about the whole thing so far. But yeah, if I could do that, that would definitely expedite my learning. So now I'm excited about multiplayer.
Well, I mean,
hell yeah.
I think, Dreams would come out a lot faster when multiplayer's out from the dream shaping side of things, because productivity would just boom. I mean, I'm just thinking of our own project. Last night, 2 of our team members was streaming on our private Discord so that they could see what each other was working on. And just thinking of it now, the ability for the 2 of them to just be in that same scene at the same time and actually physically do it, as opposed to just saying, right, stop the camera. What you're looking at there, do this, do that. Okay, now move the camera to here. This is what I'm working on. To just be there in that moment at the same time, the issues would have been fixed within 5 minutes, and, productivity would have just escalated dramatically.
At the same time, just to play that thought out, and just to cover off some of the things that I've thought of in this space. So you've got 2 people creating the same scene, and gravity's involved and things are movable. You're in the middle of sculpting something, and the other person plays the scene, for example. All of those sorts of things are things that they will have to overcome in order to get that done. And yeah, exactly.
You need 2 levers, yeah.
Yeah, exactly so. But how do you implement that in a way that's still visceral and tangible? And this is all of the sorts of challenges that they will inevitably be facing in this.
I was going to make a joke about, like, hey, that's my sculpt. No, that's my sculpt. And then, like,
I'd imagine they'd have to have somebody that was like the scene host that could control certain things that the other couldn't.
Yeah.
But what, I don't know anything, so that's just a guess.
Yeah, you would have to have an admin, wouldn't you, within the multiplayer for dream shaping. It seems to be the only logical way to do it.
And again, would it be 2 players, 3 players, 4 players? Would you allow 8 people in this scene to do things together? Imagine having a full team. Imagine a stream where you could see all team Pig Detective, all working in a scene all at once, one doing music, one doing some sculpts, one doing some logic, one doing some animation. Can you imagine how good that would be?
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
I think it might cause a lot more problems doing it that way than solve.
Have you ever been on a Google Docs where there's like 10 people?
Oh yeah.
I do encourage people to use the tools at hand, though. If you've got the PS5, to use that screen share, the picture-in-picture. If you've got a Discord to share your screen with people, whether you're teaching or whether you're working together on a collaboration. And and like Mighty Vicious had mentioned a little while ago about not really understanding logic and wanting to have that hands-on experience. I mean, for me, my first time doing logic was on a project where I had to do it. There was no choice. I had to figure it out. And I had a time limit, and there were other people in on this project. So it was up to me to figure it out or be an a-hole, more or less. So when you put that kind of pressure on yourself, I think it pushes you to make that kind of progression. At the same time, when you're working with someone like I brought up at the beginning, like Falco Rich or Captain Morgan, where Captain and I worked together, and there were things that he didn't know how to solve, and neither did I. But together we were able to troubleshoot those things, and he had built that base logic that we needed to get it done, but we were having glitches and things that weren't going the way we wanted. So from following through his logic and watching what he did, it would help me to understand how things worked and to fix those problems. So I encourage people to use the tools available to do the things that we're already talking about, we're asking for, right?
Yeah.
Let me unmute myself here. I don't know. We have a lot of people talking in chat over whether or not this would work, or would it just be mayhem? And I had to mute myself because I was laughing because I kept thinking of two people trying to work together, and someone keeps grabbing the other person's tweak window, and it just turned
hilarious.
Just shaking it. Just shaking it for the hell of it.
This is my window.
Or the undo button. I don't like what you did there. I'm going to undo it.
Oh no, the undo button.
Oh wow.
God.
That's just chaos.
And this is us in a 5-minute conversation. This is us in a 5-minute conversation about multiplayer creation. Imagine how many conversations there must have been and iterations there must have been in prototyping that has to be done on Media Molecule's side. And again, I don't work for them. I have no idea, but I can only imagine what that must be like.
I sympathize so bad.
Yes.
What a headache.
It's like we should have just all of the sympathy and all of the understanding that it's a huge, crazy, complex problem, right?
How long did it take them? How long did it take them to make Dreams? Was it 8 years or something like that? 5 years?
Yeah,
give or take.
9 years.
10 years. 9 years.
Yeah. So imagine how long it's going to take for them to come up with multiplayer. I don't see it coming anytime soon. I mean, that's just the things we talked about today, like Freaky said, things that I'd never even thought about. Those are huge hurdles. I mean,
yeah, we'd be lucky to get it this year for sure.
Although, what I will say is that bear in mind they announced PlayStation VR compatibility at Dreamscom last year. Who knows what they've got planned for the MPs?
Yeah, very true.
Even if it's a V1 where it's limited, we get a piece
I wonder if
of
they'll
it.
do a beta like they did for VR.
Yeah, it's quite possible. Limit it to 2 people at a time on a session, and then open it up once they've got all the bugs out. It's very possible.
A lot of the work's already been done, though. There's a lot of multiplayer functionality already in the game for local multiplayer. Wushi and I made a game for the co-op jam, and it was just super fun playing with all the toys they already gave us. You can extract what color the controller light bar is.
Is that
and
Impros?
Yeah, that's the one. And then you can sort of change things in your scene depending on what controller color is. So player 1 and 2 know what to grab.
Yeah,
there's a lot already there, and I think it'll come. It'll come when it comes.
Yeah.
Yep. And until then, I look forward to seeing what everybody continues to create, because there's not a week that goes by that I'm just not that's amazing. Share.
Yep, not a day, honestly, for me, where I'm just wow. It blows my mind every day. And until then, everybody go to Twitter and explain to Freaky how it's not that hard to do multiplayer.
I mean, let's be honest, it's a 5-minute job. Just turn on the big button that says multiplayer. Just mash the button. I don't know what's so hard about that. Come on, Media Molecule.
But with that, I think we can go ahead and wrap up for today. I mean, I hope everybody had fun.
And
Absolutely.
And we'll be doing this again. We'll be doing this again sometime very soon. Very soon.
Yeah. I would like to say one thing before we all go,
Very
and that's that when I first watched this podcast, I was a little critical of it, but you guys have come a long way. And if anyone was deserving of a most improved empty, it was the Made in Dreams podcast. I mean, you guys have come a long way. Not just in podcasting, because I think you guys had some experience with that before, but just the understanding of dreams, the way you interact with the community. I'm proud of you guys. You've done good. You done good.
You done
Thank
good,
you.
guys. You
Thank
done
you.
good.
I do appreciate it, because I mean a lot of things where I have been approached by people saying like, "What have you done?" And I will say that's one of the
Was it
like
that tone of voice as well? Like, who? What have you done?
That's always the. I mean, is that not the voice that you always hear?
That's
Like,
when you're supposed to listen, Karen.
who are you? But one thing I'm super excited about personally is that people who saw where I was in the beginning of this, and because I can't really show anything I've been working on as of yet, I'm really excited to show how much I have improved. But I just can't yet. I have a guy with a driver with a whip who's like, you better not share that. You better not. And so, but I'm super excited for in the future of Dreams, just for personally for me, because it helps hearing that, Noter, because you know I know I know that a lot of people do feel that way. Like,
but I
when
think
we first started.
You found your place in the community. You have.
Yeah.
It might have taken a minute, but you're right where you need to be. So just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, you guys are doing an awesome job.
Thank you.
We
did something
hard. Basically. But I do hope to have each of you still on here individually, because you all do superb work and it inspires me to get better. And so, yeah, everything I have to show in the future will be because of y'all. So
we are more than the sum of our parts. We lift everyone. We lift each other up.
We certainly do.
Rising tide.
Indeed. Well, anybody got last words before I get us out of here?
Thanks for
Thanks for
having
having
me.
us. Thanks for having us.
Wow, it's a pleasure to have you all on.
It
Seriously,
was lovely to talk to everybody in real life. That was amazing. And I want to do it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've got to do more of these big guest podcasts, like, where we have multiple guests on. It's great
good
to have
idea.
so many opinions at once. It's really nice.
Yeah, and don't feel bad, anybody in chat, if you weren't in this episode, and people that we've had on before, because I just wanted to have on people that we haven't talked to yet, because one of the main goals of this show, and even though a lot of smaller creators are like, I'm not good enough to be on your show, and I'm like, that's not Dreams. That's not supposed to be how the Dreams community works. Like, everybody is welcome.
Everyone has a voice.
Just look at the name. It's called the Made in Dreams podcast. If it was Made in Dreams, we want to talk to you. Simple as that.
Yeah. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining. And I really enjoyed myself. And it also made it so I didn't have to talk so much, which is kind of awesome. But
whoa, hang on. We've forgotten something.
Have we?
We've got another at least half-hour topic to discuss.
Oh, what's that?
Power glove.
No.
Okay, so basically, as we get down to this, the Power Glove, when I talk about it, because it was even mentioned, it was even mentioned by Media Molecule in their recent newsletter, because I brought it up to Abby. See, I'm not, and I'm just saying, to kind of end this off until Wooshi and I can fight about it for another hour and a half. I just want to say, all I'm saying is I still see value in that type of peripheral, not necessarily the Power Glove itself. No, I don't want the 80s Power Glove hooked up to Dreams.
Why not?
Yes,
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I reckon if we did have the actual original Power Glove in Dreams that could be coded with Dreams logic, my God, there would be some amazing creations.
Where's Tannic Alloy when you need him? Where's Tannic Alloy when you need him? Get him on the show. He'll rig one up.
Good idea.
And before we go, I just want to give a shout out to a particular person in chat. One crazy grandma is my actual grandma, and she's actually crazy. So shout out to my grandma.
Thank you, one crazy grandma.
Yes,
Love
indeed.
you.
All the love her way. So,
All the love.
and with that, ladies and gentlemen, we will go ahead and send this over to It's All Star, who is currently streaming, and we'll ride it out into the sunset. Thanks
Much
again,
love,
everybody.
guys.
Take care. All.
Thanks, guys.